Okay, hello everybody. We should be live. Welcome back to yet another one of our weekend live streams. Today I'm here with Spencer from CryptoEQ. If you watched our stream about a month ago, you would have met him already. But yeah, just want to talk about these amazing topics with you today. The state of the market. It's going to ask Spencer for his opinion on things. Talk about some Coinbase making big moves. Going to talk about some Cardano, the Metaverse, and then his CryptoEQ launching their version 5, as well as taking your live chat questions. So thank you, everyone. Please let me know if you can hear us all right. And Spencer, do you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Kevin. We had a lot of fun a month ago. It's hard to believe that was a month ago. Time has flown by, and so much has happened in crypto. So really excited to just kind of catch up on everything that's going on in the market.
Awesome. So let me go to screen share real quick and change this a little bit over, move this a little bit over. Okay, so things are a little bit steady for the past 24 hours, but like we always do with these streams, is start off with the state of the market. Oh, and for those of you watching afterwards, like after the stream is over, I'm going to leave you timestamps down below so you can skip around to the different sections. Okay, so things are a little bit sideways. Bitcoin is creeping up towards $50,000, and it seems like we had a mini alt season too. In the past week, a lot of coins really rocketed, like Solana did, Cardano, Polkadot, Terra, a lot of the big ones. Avalanche did crazy gains in the past week. Just wanted to get your overall sentiments of the market.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's a mini alt season, and we had Bitcoin with a big leg up, Ethereum followed. And then typically what you see happen when Ethereum moves up is alts will have a significant movement as well. And so, things that are playing in the general purpose smart contract space particularly seem to have a big move to the upside. So like things like Solana, things like Avalanche, things that are, quote unquote ETH killers, things like Cardano, these things that are all playing in that general purpose smart contract sandbox and competing with ETH. We saw massive movements in that category.
Yeah, for sure.
So if there's a theme of this mini alt season, it seems to be smart contracts.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that I kind of saw some discussion around and want to get your take on is the Bitcoin dominance, because it's been, some people were predicting, analysts were predicting that Bitcoin could go on a tear soon because of looking at the dominance charts from a technicals perspective. What do you think about Bitcoin dominance and whether Bitcoin's going to go on a tear soon?
I think of Bitcoin dominance as just something that's nice to check in on. I like to see where we're floating between the historic 40 and 70% Bitcoin dominance. I don't use it in trading. I don't use it in any analysis as a leading indicator. It's something that I observe and think about when we're in a broader cycle. Whether this discussion around hyper Bitcoinization and a super cycle, I'm of the opinion that if we see Bitcoin make a big move, alts will follow. I don't think that aspect of what we've seen in past crypto market cycles is going to go away this cycle. So I think that big Bitcoin moves would be followed by more volatility in alts.
I'm just a little bit surprised that Bitcoin hasn't gone further or moved up more, comparatively speaking. Like, this mini alt season was a little bit surprising to me, to be honest. And I don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe alts will continue to roar. Maybe it's Bitcoin or Ethereum's turn to go. But one thing someone was talking about, there's been a lot of bulls saying that they were right, and they're saying RIP to the bears. And someone was like, Is it's like can't believe some people still think this bounce to 50K is like a complacency bounce. Wanted to get your take on that. Do you think it might be a complacency bounce, or what's your gut feeling on that?
I think it's very important if you're trading this market to have an open mind. I think that there's talks of bull trap, bull trap, bull trap.
Yeah,
I'd like to see us. I'd like to see us test and break 50K. I'd like to see us build support at 50K, and then move up and challenge the old all-time high. So, if I see Bitcoin before the end of the year pushing up against that previous all-time high, right, then we could be in a different scenario. But right now, I'm not compelled to say that we're absolutely going to see 200K Bitcoin this year or anything along like that, right? I'd like to see support at 50K. I'd like to see us challenge the old all-time highs. Folks that are trading alts, I encourage you to take profits and lock in profit, especially pulling your principal out. It's just this market. I've been looking at it for 5 years, trading and investing in crypto, and it's good to lock in profit in movements like this.
for sure. And it was so hilarious because someone was like, you can't rely too much on like traditional market behavior for crypto or Bitcoin, because this looked like the perfect head and shoulders. And everyone was saying that the bears were saying that it's going to go super low because of this. But then look at this bounce up. This isn't something you see too often just from like a charts perspective.
Yeah, so I mean, certainly it's a extraordinary move to the upside. Alts are following. It's very exciting, very good trading. Also, great time to lock in some profit. But I'm not compelled to say that we're going to see 100K Bitcoin this year. I'd like to see us retest those old all-time highs, build support at 50K, and move on from there.
Yeah, I think that's what someone else said. They said that they would love to see consolidation at this current range at 50K before any move one way or the other, just so that we can a healthier price action for the markets per se.
Definitely. But
Okay.
we're about to get into more of the fundamentals, and if you stop looking at charts and you just think about the fundamentals, it's very, very bullish.
For sure. And this is the next topic I wanted to talk about is two big things happening from Coinbase, which is arguably like the biggest, not maybe the biggest, but one of the most important companies in the entire crypto space. And let me go into this screen share again. Zoom out. Okay, so this is from Brian Armstrong himself. So if you remember, a lot of people were criticizing Coinbase for not holding more crypto like on their balance sheet, like MicroStrategy or Tesla does, because Coinbase obviously holds a lot of customer funds, but that's not the same, because holding it on your balance sheet, it's like, hey, I believe in this. That's like the ultimate sign of like skin in the game, believing in this asset class, things like that. And so I remember hearing a lot of criticism about that when they were going to IPO or DPO. And now they finally received board approval to purchase over $500 million of crypto on their balance sheet. And they will be investing 10% of all profit going forward in crypto. So, thoughts on this?
So I'm interested in the time horizon. So, like MicroStrategy and Tesla came out and said after the fact, hey, we allocated X to Bitcoin, put it on our balance sheet. So it seems like they're disclosing this in advance of actually doing it. And
Yes.
and then the second question would be like over what time period, right? Is this over 5 years? Is this by end of year? I mean, that's a big follow-up question I have. But either way, this is very positive for our industry. I've seen a lot of criticism from maximalists that it's a diversified strategy, right? That they're going to be holding more than Bitcoin,
They are. Yeah.
that potentially some Ether, maybe some deeper alts. That makes a lot of sense when you think about their business model. Obviously, Coinbase is incentivized to do much more than hold Bitcoin and produce Bitcoin related products and services. So I think overall this is very positive. And not similar to MicroStrategy, they have a strategy to allocate to crypto going forward. So they're saying 10% of profits. Whereas, like Tesla, for example, it was more of a static allocation, potentially a one time allocation to Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
they've got a strategy going forward, which is even better.
One interesting thing I saw was that because one, I don't want to say risk, but one notable part about Coinbase's business is that it's the vast majority of their revenue is from trading fees. Like, I don't remember, like over 90% or so. But now, if they hold crypto, theoretically, this could also translate into like profits for them and not just like a good chunk of profits for them and not just from trading fees.
Yeah, certainly. And they can, for example, if they allocate to Ethereum, um, if 100 million of that just hypothetically is going into Ethereum, obviously that inflow is positive for the asset, positive for the industry, and would provide more of an incentive and pull for people to trade that asset. So I'm sure there's a lot of regulatory and compliance
Yeah, and
questions around making this move.
we also love this too because it just provides like a solid bid for the entire markets, right? 500 million and then plus 10% of profit. They're like the inelastic demand that periodic stackers have. They just stack regardless of price every month, every week, whatever. And now Coinbase is going to be joining to that solid underlying bid, which just can't hurt. It definitely helps price action in my eyes.
Absolutely. What I think makes this different is this is a crypto company, Alec. So I mean, they're really doubling down. Like MicroStrategy and Tesla generate revenue outside of our industry, right? This is something they added to their treasury reserve strategy. But Coinbase, I mean, their business model, is going to respond positively and negatively to market movements and within crypto, and it's very, very closely tied to crypto. So they're really doubling down on
Yeah,
this asset class. I think it's a bold move and very positive overall.
for sure. And now they're one of us too, because before they weren't putting skin in the game.
Yeah,
One other interesting thing I saw this past week about Coinbase is that they are going to just hold a giant war chest to kind of outlast crypto winter. So they're getting prepared. Let me move this over a bit. So yeah, they have a $4 billion war chest, and what they say is preparation of reduced trading volumes, higher operating costs by regulatory hurdles. Yeah, they said, quote, we want to ensure that we maintain those cash reserves so that we can continue to invest and grow our products and services in the event that we go into a crypto winter. So that is quite interesting. I think that's smart because, I mean, we saw crypto winter. I saw a full crypto winter and things were really like zombie land out there. So they will need like just that much cash to continue to grow and fund their operations per se.
yeah. I think this ties into the previous point. Like Coinbase it was a startup first, right? And they've seen this is their third market cycle as a company. So they've lived through two crypto winners. So I think it's a very responsible move, especially when you think about things like the infrastructure bill. Right? There's no guarantee that the healthy amendments that were proposed will make it in at the House level, and the amendment certainly didn't go through at the Senate level.
Yeah.
And so, like things like the infrastructure bill dramatically affect businesses like Coinbase, and I think this is a good move, especially with the fact that now they're allocating some of their reserve assets to our asset class and digital assets. I think building a healthy war chest is a good strategic decision, and I don't have any concerns with the fact that that cash is not going into Bitcoin or other assets per se. Right? I think this is a good move.
For sure. And one thing I'm thinking of though is I made a video. I don't know if people watching the stream saw it. It's about like what's next for Bitcoin cycles, because there's a lot of debate recently that Bitcoin isn't going to follow 4-year cycles so predictably anymore, mainly because of the diminishing impact of the halvings. Like the percentage that it's cut in half, obviously, but it's just like less of an impact, relatively speaking, than before. And so there's a lot of theories about what could happen next. One theory I find really that makes a lot of sense to me is that it's just going to be longer and less volatile cycles. So like lower highs, higher lows, and just like longer to play out. But I'm totally for that, to be honest. I would love for just things to like, I mean, obviously I like big pumps, but slower climbs and slower declines, and not as big as declines, not like 85% anymore. I mean, we just saw a 50% decline, but what's your opinion on cycles moving forward and this potential elongating of the process?
Yeah, lengthening cycle theory, as they call it, it makes a lot of sense to me. I was very bought in on this idea of like institutional money dampening the market, but then we had that big flush of leverage out of the system, and like you said, upwards of 50% correction in the market. Not the 80% corrections that we've seen before, but who's to say that we won't have another big drawdown before the end of the year or early next year. So I say in Bitcoin, I think this narrative of like following that logarithmic channel, and once we have billions of Bitcoin wallets around the world, mass adoption, I do think that those 80% drawdowns will be a thing of the past. And for the volatility that traders love and short-term investors are looking for, I think you'll have to go deeper down in the market cap and the stack rankings for the kind of volatility that we've grown accustomed to in Bitcoin. So I think as Bitcoin matures, you'll need to trade deeper alts for that same level of volatility.
I have mixed feelings about lengthening cycles if it does happen, because I mean, you running CryptoEQ and me running this channel, I think for the business side, having like less crazy winters and whatnot would be amazing for us. But from an investor point of view, like you said, we won't get those like amazing opportunities that deep bear markets bring. Because if you look at like the price of some during deep bear market, they literally rocketed like 100x since the bottom point. And so a lot of people are kind of hoping for that to happen, but it might not, though. It might not play out the same way, like having such a deep bear market that you'd get those bottom shelf opportunities like before.
Yeah, one of the things, like when things were very, very quiet and like in the past, crypto winter, retail basically lost interest. And so now I'm thinking forward, well, okay, what if we have another significant correction? There's utility and fundamental value now in the asset class to like carry us through a winter. So like there's things about crypto that are very useful, whether or not Bitcoin is roaring to new highs or consolidating or nearing a bottom. Things like lending, borrowing, stable coins, interest-bearing accounts, like these things that didn't exist last crypto winter, or at least that I wasn't really plugged into. Now there's all this infrastructure for a new crypto financial services that are useful irregardless of the direction of the market. So
For sure.
That's one thing that I think can maintain retail's interest through another significant correction in crypto winter.
Yeah, definitely a lot more maturity than before. Let's take a quick look at the live chat, answer some questions. They got a lot of things. So yeah, folks, thank you for watching right now. If you don't mind smashing that like button real quick to support our channel and our stream, and also any questions you have, just throw them into the chat. We'll definitely get to them. So, okay, let's see. Dave says fall is here, so it's bull time, alt season. HNT Yusuf asks about HNT. Is that helium? Let me take a look. HNT. It
I
is
believe
helium.
so.
Do you
The
have any
helium.
thoughts on that?
So that's something, I think cryptos are particularly exciting when you can encounter them in the wild, as I like to say. So like when you actually can see it real world, or like you run into it in the real world, just puts more tangible value behind it. So I've seen helium miners in action. They built a pretty impressive network in terms of deploying the machines. And so just the idea on the use case, to kind of prime everyone, if you're not familiar, helium is something that's intended to disrupt the network, oh, sorry, the internet's infrastructure. So like this idea today, like if you're out and about in an urban area, if you want Wi-Fi access, right, you
Yeah.
probably need to stop, drop in a coffee shop, get the password, log in, credentials, whatever. If you're within a helium hotspot, right, there's going to be helium miners all around working together to provide you internet access, and they're incentivized to work together and participate and mine helium. Um, there's an economic incentive.
Yeah.
So much like there's an economic incentive to mine Bitcoin and secure the network, Helium has an economic incentive to provide internet to folks. And so the strategy seems to be particularly effective in like very densely populated areas.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so
I
I've seen some Helium miners, and the use case makes sense.
Have you tried it
Um,
out in terms of like connecting to one?
I haven't finished my deep dive on it yet, so I haven't decided whether or not I'd like to participate in the Helium economy.
Or I meant
But
like
I'm,
as a Wi-Fi user.
oh no, I have not. I've not tried out the Wi-Fi. I've just seen the devices.
Yeah, I know one of my friends who lives in San Francisco, or an acquaintance, I'd rather say, is owns some stores, and he runs helium miners in those like retail shops. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, we have a lot of questions about Cardano, which we'll get in a bit. Haroon and Danilo, so hold off there for a sec. Doomslayer, anything on Web 3.0 tokens? Can you clarify what you mean by that? Okay, let's see. Elon Musk, this guy named Elon Musk in the chat says he likes Doge. Sia Coin, any thoughts on Sia Coin? I mean, Sia Coin storage, I mean, Filecoin is the main one that's like getting the most traction, if I'm not mistaken. Sia Coin, I'm not sure. Haven't taken a look at it recently. Mina protocol, I definitely want to dive deeper in that. They're like a light layer one blockchain. Injective protocol, I personally own, but feel a little bit unsure about that given the recent regulatory actions towards like derivatives and whatnot. Thoughts on Avalanche versus Solana? Do you have any thoughts on any of those that we just named? Sia, Mina, Injective, Avalanche, Solana?
So Sia Coin seems like more of like a legacy crypto from the
It
last cycle
is.
with some strong unit bias. Like I remember that being a coin that you could get quote unquote on the cheap. You could accumulate a lot of Sia for a very small number of dollars. It seems like in terms of like fundamental developments, Filecoin is taking more of the market in terms of peer-to-peer file storage. I know Filecoin has some very large backers, but it seems like Siacoin has that unit bias. So I don't have like strong comments on the fundamentals of either project. Just like following the news and listening and watching the market every day. Like that's kind of my hot take. I
Okay.
think there's more to say about like Solana and AVAX and Avalanche. Kind of the way we opened the show was the theme that we're seeing, in this mini altcoin season is a lot of competition around smart contracts and a lot of big movements in price of smart contracts projects. And Solana and Avalanche are definitely a part of that category. Solana has been something that's been talked about in our community for almost a year. So I've got a better bearing on Solana. I'll say fundamentally, they just had a big launch with an NFT project called Degenerate Apes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
a fun NFT project, and so they're expanding the utility of their platform. And I think that that has something to do with some of the action that we saw. It was the drop, the NFT drop was so popular that one of the devs had to come out and say we were just overwhelmed with demand and they had to recalibrate. And I'm sure they were working very hard to make that a success. So um, some big developments on Solana. It seems to have good fundamentals. We're doing more research at CryptoEQ on Solana. Avalanche to me seems like I haven't seen as much fundamental developments on that platform. I haven't followed it as closely. So that one I'm more cautious of, and I'd like to do more research. It has not been as closely on my radar
Same.
as Solana. So I would say that when you look at, like, just as a counterexample, Doge is still a top 10 project. It's a meme coin. There's not a lot of fundamental. So just a word of caution when you get excited about some of these projects that some of these deeper alts can move dramatically without a lot of fundamental development. I'm not calling Solana Doge. I'm saying quite the opposite. Solana has had some impressive progress, but with things like Avalanche, right, I need to learn more before I could discern whether or not that seems like it's got strong fundamentals.
For sure, for sure. All right, now let's go on to Cardano for a little bit. People in the live chat, Haroon and Danilo, were asking, and they did ask me if if I'm still not investing in Cardano. Great question. Actually, I do swing trade it because yeah, just getting part of the big move with my swing trading bots and whatnot, but I'm still not as amenable to it from a fundamentals perspective yet. So I guess people can call me a hater there. But it did move quite a bit. This price action has been impressive, and Spencer can also offer a different perspective too, since yeah. I'll just let you share
So I
some
think
thoughts.
it's important to be just transparent with the audience about some of the things that I'm long on and some of the things that I've invested in. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, stable coins, those are some of my top holdings. Stable coins like PAX and USDC. So Cardano, has grown to be one of my top holdings. I think that some of some of the criticism of Cardano is apt, right? What's being built on Cardano, right? So, they've just now locked in their drop date for smart contracts. They've made significant progress, but for Cardano to really realize its vision, it's got to have smart contracts live on mainnet, and so they're very close to getting there.
Is it
In
in
terms of
September?
Yes. So their launch date for smart contracts is September. The test net's been very successful so far. So it's looking positive. It's looking like they'll continue to deliver on their roadmap and execute on their roadmap. They made dramatic improvements over the past few years in deploying and executing on their plan and their goals. That wasn't always the case in the early days. So I think that Cardano's really turned it around in terms of their mission, their vision, their leadership, their execution. But to make a significant allocation to our Cardano is to be very forward thinking and saying that I think that their vision for smart contracts will come to fruition, because outside of smart contracts, what does it have going for it? It's got strong leadership, strong community, and it's also one of the most used networks in terms of staking. So
It
in terms
is
of
for
the
sure.
actual value staked, it might be number one. I know it's competitive. It's certainly one of the top projects in terms of actual value staked on the network, which is not something to overlook. So that the community and the technology, are showing that in some ways it is ahead of the game. It is one of the most successful proof of stake platforms. I think a lot of the criticism ties to, like, order of operations in terms of their roadmap. So Ethereum, very quick to market with smart contracts and has been making adjustments as they go and are working very hard towards ETH2, whereas Cardano built a very successful proof of stake system, probably number one in terms of value staked, and has been slower to deliver smart contracts to the world on their platform.
So needless to say, you don't think that Cardano is going to go the path of Tron or EOS?
I think, yeah. So I don't think that. I think that Cardano has much stronger fundamentals than Tron or EOS.
Because they did have a lot of hype back in the day too, and now no one
Certainly.
talks about them at all. They're like zombies in my eyes.
Yeah, so I don't put them in the same category. We've evaluated EOS, for example, at CryptoEQ, and from a fundamental standpoint, we gave it a deficient rating, whereas Cardano, from a fundamental standpoint, we gave it a bronze rating. So at CryptoEQ and myself personally, we hold Cardano in higher regard than things like EOS and Tron.
I
Um,
see.
yeah, so I think that Cardano's got stronger fundamental. If you just cut through the hype, it's got stronger fundamental developments, and I would point to the value staked on the network being amongst the best in its class as a good example of why it's in a different class.
Yeah, I definitely have to give them props on the staking participation and whatnot. But just wanted to I guess share some of the public discourse on Twitter. Mike Dudas, who founded the block, he wrote that Cardano at $80 billion prior to launching smart contracts is the most overpriced asset in tech history. So that was quite funny. Also, okay, so Mike Novogratz, who founder of Galaxy Digital, he had some comments. This guy, Andrew Steinwald, said, "Why is Cardano the third largest cryptocurrency? Is there stuff being built on Cardano people are using? On its question, I know next to nothing." And Mike Novogratz says, "A mystery to me." And he said he spoke with 20 of the smartest people he knows in the space. 0 of them saw Cardano having traction with devs. And Charles Hoskinson responded saying, "I can fix the statement for you, Mike. I've spoken to 20 of the smartest bankers I know in the space. 0 of them saw cryptocurrency having any traction. We all heard that one. Let's come back to this tweet every year." I gotta say, I know a lot of people don't like Charles. I'm a little bit more neutral. But I do think he always act like he's very salty, in my opinion. He has a big chip on his shoulder, whereas other people like, I don't know, other founders, more like just weed out the noise per se, and they just focus on their work and act a little bit more professional. I mean, Charles has a lot of followers, like his Cardano fans, but throughout the industry, I don't think he has a lot of respect per se.
Yeah, I think that over the years he's gotten more likable. But yeah, certainly in the early days, his I guess bedside manner wasn't very good. Like this statement here directed at Novogratz like would have come off a lot worse like in 2017. So I think he's come a long way in his messaging. But like let's talk about some of the data behind this. So like we had a recent engagement with a client where we were evaluating different smart contract technology projects and looking at the tech stacks and looking at the developer activity. And Cardano has about as much developer activity as something like Cosmos, which is another asset that we think has strong fundamentals. We rated Cosmos bronze. The token is called Atom. So when we looked at like the GitHub commits and the developer activity, it looked to be on the order of something like a Cosmos.
Got it.
Clearly, without smart contracts being live, Cardano is not to be mentioned in the same breath as something like Ethereum when it comes to actual utility and actually being very, very, very useful to the world. Ethereum is still in a category of its own when it comes to day-to-day utility. But the point of investment, especially venture investment or early stage investment, isn't to invest once once it's built out its mission. It's to get in early and be forward thinking. And if you believe that Cardano can realize its vision for smart contracts, it may be a nice long position. It's not a top 2 holding for me, but it has grown to be a top 5 holding for me. It's a bet that they will be able to realize their vision for smart contracts.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have no issue with making like bets in advance of something to fruition, but I definitely think it is like way overvalued currently. And I have a question for you about Binance Smart Chain. Do you remember a few months ago how the whole rage was Binance Smart Chain? Everyone was like, "Oh, we're moving over there, going to launch our projects on there." But this may be inaccurate, and you guys watching the live stream, feel free to correct me as well. But now it feels like that hype has died way down, and it's mostly just like rug pulls and meme coins happening on that chain. And like maybe the more serious ones are on Polygon or some other place instead now.
So to the point of calling Cardano overvalued, right? I don't disagree with that. I wouldn't say this is a good time to enter the market. What I'm saying is, as it's grown in my portfolio, I have not trimmed it much at all,
Right.
because I think that, in terms of a hedge against Ethereum, it's a nice bet. With Binance Smart Chain, we had a recent engagement with a client where we were going through different blockchain enabled games. And we identified BSC as, in terms of the data, one of the leaders there. So in terms of DeFi, in terms of blockchain and gaming, Binance Smart Chain is definitely a major player and is taking gaming very seriously. But to your point about the hype, right? I mean, when you see BNB trade at $30 and then 15x, and peak out, he might have peaked out over $500 per BNB.
I think over 600, but yeah.
Yeah, what an incredible run. And so there's going to be a lot of exuberance. And the same thing could be happening with Cardano in terms of just an incredible amount of exuberance. I'm very curious to see how they manage the smart contracts release and how successful it is. If there's any setbacks there, that could be a nice entry point if someone is convinced or long on the fundamentals for Cardano.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to some more live chat questions. Someone wanted some thoughts on gaming NFTs. I guess we can go into Mark O'Shea. We can go into that in a bit when we talk about the metaverse. Let's see. XRP, Sheeb, Cartesi, Yearn, Tezos. Yeah, I remember Tezos was pumping massively during like 2019, but now it's been really quiet since then, to be honest. During 2019, when things were still chill, Tezos was like going nuts, but now it's...
Tezos had this multi-year legal battle kind of overshadowing it. And when there was some clarity and resolution in legal issues surrounding the team behind Tezos, I think that was the beginning of a nice move up. And it's almost like Tezos kind of front ran the pandemic era market movements. And now it seems like, it's very quiet, even though we at CryptoEQ think that Tezos does have strong fundamentals. So I would say that it certainly seems that price action is lagging the fundamental developments on Tezos.
Yeah, and here's Tezos' chart, by the way. It's not doing much, to be honest. Still hasn't regained all-time high from the last bull cycle, which is perhaps troublesome in my eyes. I always am hesitant towards projects that aren't able to regain their previous cycle all-time high, because I feel like if it has promise and potential, then that should be like a must for them in terms of like the market speaking on how it values a project. Now Tezos is down to number 43, which is...
It's in a word, it's surprising to me, because it is a project that has strong fundamentals and has a good team and a good backstory. But when you think about smart contracts, I mean, the first projects that come to mind are Ethereum, Cardano, interoperability projects like Polkadot and Cosmos. I think Solana is something that is worth sinking your teeth into and doing some research. We're doing some research on Solana now. So it's not top of mind when you think about the smart contracts use case.
Right. Actually, I haven't heard of any big dApps or a lot of retail activity happening on Tezos either, but I haven't spent the time researching that either. So I guess we'll find out. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the metaverse, and this has both crypto and non-crypto implications per se. Because I know Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg said that he thought the future of Facebook and whatnot would be in the metaverse, but also Andreessen Horowitz, the famous VC firm, recently invested in Yield Guild Games. I believe this is related to Axie, and they're really big on these play to earn games. And I know you have a lot of experience, a lot more experience now than before on these. So I guess what are your thoughts on these play to earn NFT gaming?
Yeah, well, this space moves so fast that when you've been doing something for a month, you have a lot of experience. It's funny. You could say the same about crypto, right? 5 years is a career in crypto. It's only been around for 10 years. The YGG news, the Yield Guild Games. So what that is a company that's making bets on things like Axie in terms of building a business around the play to earn game.
Uh-huh.
So I think what's happening here, and there's other companies that are doing this too. You're building a scholarship program for folks to come and play. It's almost like sponsoring a team. And so generally there's like a 60-40 split where the company is sponsoring the scholars to come play something like Axie,
Right.
where they'll provide some of the initial startup capital needed to, for example, build an Axie team. Sometimes teams can cost 1 to 2,000 US dollars, depending on the quality of the Axies. And then going forward, there is a revenue share. So the earnings, the play to earn tokens that the scholar accumulates would then be shared with the sponsor. In this case, it would be YGG. And so I've watched some chats with folks that are cash flowing like 60,000 a month with these teams of scholars. I think realistically, one individual, you can probably generate about 1,000 a month playing Axie. We've been playing it for about a month, and that's about where we're at. Is about 1,000 a month in passive income. Playing part time for 2 to 3 hours a day. Oh,
Nice.
it's the tokenomics are changing. They're still trying to get the in-game economy right. It's very
Right.
challenging. It's one thing to build a successful game. It's another thing to build an entire virtual economy. So things are changing fast, but I think that the decisions are being made to protect the game, the players, the company, and the ecosystem in the long term. So I don't have any big concerns with some of the recent changes. Another game that we could mention here would be the Sandbox. So in terms of like projects with fundamental value and something that I see like having some staying power as a blockchain enabled game, I would say Axie first,
Okay.
with hundreds of thousands of daily active users, very, very good traction. And then I'd say the Sandbox second. And so Axie Infinity is like a tokenized Pokemon, basically, to kind of contextualize it for people. The Sandbox feels more like a tokenized Minecraft, where you've got an entire world where you can build in-game assets, build lands, build um, areas of the map, entirely to your liking. So Axie Infinity seems like something that you would play, for 2 to 3 hours a day. The Sandbox seems like something that, if you wanted to, you could just play all week. It doesn't really seem like there's. That seems like that feels like a virtual world where you really immerse yourself, and you have an avatar, and you really kind of make your avatar like to your liking.
Have you tried it
Um,
before, or have you like
Yeah,
looked?
so the setback there was the reason why we didn't start playing the sandbox as quickly as we did Axie is in terms of like the technology behind it, it's not yet ready for Mac. So I actually bought a Windows laptop so we could play sandbox and try it out. And so we just started yesterday. So we're very much learning about the sandbox right now. Uh, but the
Interesting.
but I personally have invested in both projects, so I've got skin in the game. Um, the tokens are AXS. That's the governance token for Axie Infinity. The token that you earn in Axie is called SLP, or Small Love Potion. So that's the in-game asset that you can earn as passive income. And then Sandbox, the in-game token is Sand, SAND.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
yeah,
Um,
Sand's like around 140 in terms of market cap. So it's a deeper alt, whereas AXS is top
Sand is
50.
at 600 million now.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Sandbox break into the top 100 as they continue to mature. And I think something like deploying a version of the game builder, the game maker for Mac would be big, because right now it's only available on Windows machines.
Yeah, this is a niche that I've been thinking about doing more research in and building a thesis around as well because I think it could be one to rock it. But a big one for me is that the game has to actually be fun and polished, though. I feel like if it's a
Yeah,
shitty game, it's not worth. Like, sure, the token could still rock it, but
sure.
it's
Yeah,
just not going to get continued playing unless it's like a polished and fun game. Like, legitimately,
yeah.
even if it didn't have the token, it would still be
So
played.
this is a good time to bring up something like Decentraland and Mana. So I see the pull in Axie Infinity. I see the pull in the Sandbox is like games that people could actually enjoy playing. I think they're both fun. Decentraland, we tried that one out, and it wasn't fun. And so I looked at investing in Mana like three different times, and every time it concluded no. Even though it has like big backing, like Grayscale opening a Decentraland trust, a Mana trust, um, it also seems like the leadership behind that project is fizzling out, and I do think they're also having scalability issues. So in terms of fundamentals, I don't see strong fundamentals in Decentraland, and I don't think it's any fun to play either.
Noted.
So
Skipping
so
mana.
Yeah, I mean, so I mean, I'm sharing what I've learned. I see Axie Infinity and the Sandbox as strong, fundamental blockchain-enabled games. I passed on Mana.
Have you heard
I,
of My Neighbor Alice before?
yeah, I just looked at that one a couple of days ago. It needs a lot more research before I could say anything good about it. My initial take is I'm very skeptical.
What is it,
I've also looked at
anyways?
things like, yeah,
Oh, it's
I-
like
yeah,
Farmville kind of thing.
yeah. There's so many things coming out of the woodworks too. Like there's in terms of traction. You have Alien Worlds on the Wax blockchain is actually one of the most popular games in terms of just like analytics from dapradar.org.
Oh, dang.
Um,
Its price
but
went to like, its
the
price got
fundamentals,
destroyed.
the fundamentals don't really line up when you take a deeper dive. Yeah, so if you compare that chart to like the usability metric, like the user metrics,
Uh huh.
it doesn't really make sense. Like the chart's up and to the right in terms of the people playing it. So that makes you wonder if it's like bot activity or if people are really playing the game.
Or maybe
Uh,
the token economic design is bad.
yeah,
Like
that's
you
another.
said, Axie
Yeah,
Infinity, they're constantly improving theirs. And when I dove deep into Axie, they said the reason why they're doing so well compared to their competitors is because their token economics is like the best in class, and it actually feeds better, at least. It maybe not be perfect, but it feeds better into its flywheel than anything else we've seen in this space. So
yeah,
maybe
it's a
that's
very,
why. Maybe the token economics are just hindering Alien Worlds or whatever one you were talking about.
that's a good point, right? Like actually, this is something that came up in when we were talking about blockchain enabled games. So the sandbox has been in development for 8 years. The blockchain enabled piece behind the sandbox is more recent, but they've been building that game for a long time. Axie Infinity has been um, Sky Mavis has been building that project for 3 years.
Yeah.
Things like Million Worlds, My Neighbor Alice, they seem like more or newer projects. They've I know that Alien Worlds, for example, I don't think that's even been around for a year. So I think there's a lot of foundational work that was done to set. Axie up for success that make it seem like an overnight blockchain success when in reality there's a lot more to it.
So I saw Yield Guild Games have their own token. Does that mean that we can get like a cut of their profits or something? Do you know anything about this?
I haven't done a deep dive on why they need a token, so I would just be speculating.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks like it reminds me of remember the guy Meta Corvin who bought Beeple's 100 days every day's NFT and set the record for $69 million purchase. He
Yeah, there's a number of of like up to $100 million purchases in NFTs.
so he made this B21 kind of collective or whatnot. Let me just take a quick look. It's like you can own it together per se. Okay, maybe this is not the same B21, but okay, wait one sec. What is it called? Meta Corvin coin NFT. Okay, I don't remember the name, but if I remember correctly, Meta Coven. Yeah, I believe he like built a token around that and was like, hey, everyone who buys this token will share in ownership. But it didn't do that well, per my understanding. Okay, let's take a quick. Go
Looking
ahead.
well, I just looked at YGG a little bit more, and it seems like they're trying to create almost an index where you would have some exposure to a number of blockchain-enabled things. Just from spending about a month looking at this incredibly new emerging aspect of crypto and blockchain-enabled games, it just seems so early that like a diversified exposure to say the top 10 games, right? Well, I've just said that I only really think there's two that are, have good fundamentals. So, I personally would just bet on, the ones that I think have some staying power and skip the things that just look like they have poor fundamentals.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this is something I'm going to do more research on. I'm going to take a look at the sandbox. So thank you for a shout out on that. I think I might buy some of that, but I do love AXS, but I don't think I would buy it unless there was like a significant correction for me personally. And that's just like personal opinion. So not financial advice for people watching. But yeah, I want to ask people how much they actually like playing those games and be like, hey, real talk, would you play this game if it wasn't for the token? And like, do you actually find it fun for real?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm as big of a. Maybe sometimes I play mobile games for kicks, but I'm not the target user. So if I play it, it's not as good as if like someone else who really games with those kind of games plays it and lets me know what they think.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I really like Axie, but just to build on some of the things and why it's appealing, it's got something for different personas. So like if you're looking for passive income while you play a game, you can certainly do that. But then there's like this, you cross the chasm, and like once you're a more skilled player, there's tournaments and the play to earn aspect evolves. So where it's less like farming a token and more like a strategy skill based game. And they've expanded the winnings that you can earn as a skilled player that's at a more elite level, so that thousands of people are earning AXS as passive income on top of the farming that you can do for SLP. So it's going back to your point about strong tokenomics, they've done something to appeal to a number of different types of users.
Right. People in the live chat were telling me to check out some other NFT games. So let's check this out real quick.
Sure.
One sec. Play to earn. Someone said Illuvium and Lonely Alien Space. Okay, I did see Illuvium. One sec. Let me screen share this. Illuvium's right here. Doing quite well. Okay, let's see. Illuvium. Fight for ETH. Interesting. Well, I like the graphics. Oh, this is a lot like Gods Unchained. That's immediately what comes to mind. Is this from Gods Unchained? They're partnered with Yield Guild too. Okay.
Gods Unchained is one of the more successful games in this space.
They are. They're really polished, and they came early too. Gods Unchained has a token too. Has that been doing? Do they have a token? Maybe not.
When I did
Actually,
when I did initial pass, I wasn't able to find out how to invest in Gods Unchained aside from playing the game. So I didn't see a token.
Lonely Alien Space is what someone said, but that's not on Alien Space NFT. Is that even a game? Or is that just
I
a
thought they
simple
might be
NFT
thinking
drop? Ah, it's just an NFT drop. I see.
Okay.
Have you bought any just pure NFTs just out of curiosity?
I've been gifted NFTs, but I don't that's why blockchain enabled games is so exciting to me because it was a version of was a way I could see NFTs having tangible utility to me.
Yeah,
I I'd prefer physical art to NFT art. So I don't invest in um, like art based NFTs, for example. But I've been gifted them, and I do keep them in a wallet, and um, it'd be interesting to see what they're worth in a couple of years.
yeah, for sure. Okay, the last thing is wanted to. So congratulations on launching V5 of CryptoEQ. As you guys can see, here is the announcement. Do you want to just give us a quick a quick rundown on everything?
Yeah, well, thank you, Kevin. You followed us for some time now, so you know that there's some backstory here. So we've been building CryptoEQ for years. We've had 5 different versions. So V5 is our 5th build of the web app, and each time we get better, and each time we listen to our audience and we gather feedback and step our game up. And so this is us raising the bar again. And some of the things that we've added, in addition to the in-depth core reports, we also have added in an alerts feature, so set alerts, where you can get notifications to your email and eventually via SMS to your phone of significant market movements on any of the assets that we list. So the set alerts feature is something that's new that can help you have like a set and forget it kind of relationship with our systems, so that you don't need to check the web app every day. You could trust that we'll alert you, for example, when Bitcoin has a significant movement, or when Ethereum, for example, could be a good buying opportunity. So that's what we've brought to market with the set alerts feature. We've also added in sentiment analysis. So sentiment, for folks that aren't familiar, is this idea of quantifying emotion in markets. So now, when you're combing through our screener and you're looking at different assets that you care about, you can click in, for example, on Cardano and see, what kind of tweets are we having today? Is the sentiment positive or negative or neutral? What kind of headlines are coming out today? What kind of Reddit threads are we seeing? And you can see that all on the web app without having to comb the internet. I think when we founded CryptoEQ, one of the guiding things was we were all opening like 20 tabs at a time to do and I could see Kevin's lived this too. Like when you're trying to break down something like AXS, Axie, or Cardano, et cetera, like you really do need to open like 20 different sources to figure things out. And so the vision for CryptoEQ is just have a one-stop shop that'll walk you through the technicals, the fundamentals, the sentiment, and you just save everybody time and have high quality research and insights right there in one place.
For
So
sure.
V5 is our our next step towards best in class market research and insights for crypto.
Awesome.
So,
Sounds good. Thank you for sharing. All
yeah,
right,
thank you for having me.
everybody. We're about at the hour mark, exactly according to my little live stream indicator here. So I want to thank you all for joining us. If you don't mind smashing that like button real quick, that would help us out immensely. And I hope to see you all next week as well. And Spencer in the future would definitely be welcome back too.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
had fun. I look forward to the next catch up.
Sounds good. Peace out, everybody.